Well, hello. I hope you'll grab your tea and sit with me while I read from this book that we have done 2 parts before previously. And my intent in this is to demystify the subject of astrology, because I believe that the solar system and each planet in it is a chakra for that body. And we chose to come here at a very specific time, and we talked this over with our teams, our spirit teams, our angels and ancestors and guides, as to what would be the best fit for us to accomplish what we chose to do and when. And in the last one we spoke about the sun. This is chapter 6, and it is about the moon and the 7 rays. The 7 life streams, or rays of the cosmic sun, are so subtle and far-reaching that it is impossible to comprehend them with the earthly mind alone. The mortal consciousness tends to think in terms of 7 blocks of color, probably rather less subtly blended than the colors of the rainbow. Endless thinking and reasoning along these lines, trying to link the colors with their particular planets, numbers, and sounds, often leads to greater confusion, as so many authorities differ. To comprehend the rays at all, we need to withdraw into the inner world in meditation, striving to become one with the heart of the sun. As we meditate in that light, gradually, according to our own particular ray of unfoldment, the truth will slowly open up for us. We shall begin to realize how each of the 7 rays has its own quality, its own vibration, which permeates all life. Contemplating the radiant 6-pointed star, which symbolizes the developing Christ consciousness, we begin to understand how each ray in turn can become the living center of that star. For each ray is a facet of the jewel, the flashing diamond at the heart of the star. I'm going to inject something here. I'm going to remind us all, myself included, that this last full moon, this last strawberry moon, 6 houses of astrology changed rulership. That is phenomenal. So let me read that last sentence again. As we meditate in that light, gradually, according to our own particular ray of unfoldment, the truth will slowly open up for us. We shall begin to realize how each of the 7 rays has its own quality, its own vibration, which permeates all life. Contemplating the radiant 6-pointed star, which symbolizes the developing Christ consciousness, we begin to understand how each ray in turn can become the living center of that star. For each ray is a facet of the jewel, the flashing diamond at the heart of the star. As this jewel slowly revolves, each facet in turn catches the light, so that its own particular color subtly pervades the whole star, and all the other colors are muted, toned down as they merge into the central beam. Or perhaps we should think in terms of a vast kaleidoscope slowly revolving. The central point, the creator of the pattern, is the sun, not only the sun of our universe, but the great cosmic sun of all life, symbolized by the pole star around which the heavenly constellations turn. I'm going to inject something here. In remembering Lemuria, and in remembering the ferocity of the solar beams that are coming so strongly here, and how the sun has changed color from yellow to more white, as our sun is aligned with the galactic sun. So imagine that just spiraling down through us and to us. And each of our facets in turn spiraling within in one direction or the other, as is needed for us to code and unlock our specific talents, our specific gifts that we are bringing with us to share at this time. These are unprecedented times. And I really think that we lined up in queues to come here and be here at this time. I think it was talked about long before we chose a body to be born into. All of it was turned and looked at in its every facet and how it would align us with our purpose, individually and as a group. And the fact that we are all here together talking about all these wonderful woo-woo things and practical things is in and of itself a fantastic miracle, one that I am very thankful for. And this is also why we want to encourage ourselves and others to be authentic, not like anybody else. What's your color? What color shines forth as you heal and release and step forward and stand in your light? What gorgeous colors. Our teams must be celebrating daily as we do this. Okay, back to the book. The reflected patterns with their ever-changing forms are like the moon, the soul life of the cosmos, the great ocean of thought and feeling which is forever changing, but always reflecting the light of the central sun. Without the reflector, we should see no light, no pattern. When meditating on the solar ray, we focus our whole being on the central point of light in the heart of the star, flashing forth a myriad rays of colors to all its points. When meditating on the lunar ray, we see this fiery diamond gradually changing, softening, until the light which is pouring from it is more like a beautiful pearl, which pervades the whole with a gentle radiance, full of movement and soft color. This pearl ray is a powerful one for healing and recreating form. The moon in the individual horoscope represents the personality of one short incarnation through which the ray of the greater self shines and through which practical physical experience can be gained. Yet this small personality, this limited expression of one incarnation, by no means manifests the complete power of the lunar ray, for the moon in the heavens symbolizes the great mother of all form. She is the principle both of constancy and of change. Month by month, she completes her cycle, starting from the new moon, the point of conjunction with the sun when she is invisible from the earth. The moon gradually waxes until she is resplendent in the heavens and fully reflects the glory of her Lord the sun. We all respond to the magic and the mystery of the full moon when she is in opposition to the sun. This is a period of special occult power which has an effect throughout the nature kingdom. The moon's power over the great tides of etheric life within the world soul is as strong as the ocean tides in the physical world. Then again she wanes, steadily losing light and strength until once more she appears to withdraw into complete darkness. 13 times a year the moon waxes and wanes, while the earth makes but one revolution around the sun. This constant change, this death and rebirth of the moon each month beautifully symbolizes the relationship of the personalities of different incarnations to the greater self signified by the sun in the horoscope. Yet we must not think of the lunar ray as in any respect inferior to that of the sun, for without the power of the Great Mother, The Spirit, the Son, the Christ could not come into manifestation. While the sun is positive, the light which shines and the word which creates, the moon is the negative or passive aspect which absorbs the light and builds it into form. In one sense, as the sun works through the positive signs to bring through the Christ consciousness, so the moon works through the negative signs to produce the form in which that consciousness can shine. And the growing Christ consciousness needs form that is ever nearer the perfect through which to manifest. Hence the need for the destruction as well as the creation of fresh vehicles for the incoming life, which is an integral part of the feminine side of life throughout creation. It is a rhythm which manifests ultimately in the vast cosmic cycles of life, the inbreathing and the outbreathing of the Great Spirit. There is a peculiarly close link between the moon, Venus, and Jupiter in the development of this feminine or soul side of existence, which becomes more obvious as the finer soul vehicles begin to develop under the influence of the 6th and 7th rays. These may almost be said to be the higher harmonic of the 2nd ray, the completion of the soul temple. The moon is exalted in Taurus, the fixed earth sign ruled by Venus. This exaltation is probably more typical of the kindness and steadfast, caring qualities of subjects of the 2nd ray than is the moon in Cancer, which it rules. Venus is exalted in Jupiter's water sign Pisces, which seems perfectly to express the longing of the soul for the 6th ray of union with the beloved. Jupiter, in turn, is exalted in the moon sign of Cancer, which explains why Jupiter is sometimes regarded as the higher moon. Both Jupiter and the moon are associated with the ritual and ceremonial magic of the 7th or amethyst ray, upon which man finally learns to master the elemental kingdom and to raise his own physical vehicle into immortality. Neptune, the co-ruler of Pisces, is also closely associated with Venus, Jupiter, and the moon, and is often considered to be a synthesis of all these planets. We cannot really understand the meaning of the moon and the feminine aspects of life without taking into account all the influences. The moon, the sign of Cancer, and the 4th house of the horoscope are all concerned with the mother, the home, the sanctuary, the place of peace and personal privacy, the cradle, the nursery, and also the latter part of life, the period of retirement, and the end of life. The mother creates the environment for the child. She creates the home, which is the basis, the foundation of human life. Solar ray people are instinctively positive, forceful, and creative on the plane of thought, whereas those in a lunar ray are more concerned with giving form to thought, bringing it into practical expression. They are the executives, the tears up of loose ends, the comforters, the sustainers, and the creators of harmony. The moon, Cancer, and the 4th house all indicate a receptive, sympathetic, emotional nature. The moon is the queen of the element water, which rules the psyche or the soul. Any personality that we love is the earthly expression of the greater self, and like the moon reflects that inner spirit which is so attuned to ours. The essential personality of those unfolding on the lunar ray is gentle, quiet, and very perceptive. These people know things without having to be told, for almost unconsciously they identify themselves with the other person and feel what they are feeling. A mother instinctively feels with her child. She feels the hurts, the disappointments, and also the triumphs of her child, and knows how to give comfort, encouragement, or admonition. A wise mother who not only gives sympathy but knows how to prepare her child for independence and to stand in the background as a friend when the child no longer needs protection wields great power. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Now that humanity is in transition period between negative sign Pisces and the positive mental Aquarius, Many women responding to this positive mental ray are finding the responsibilities of homemaking and child rearing rather irksome. So there is a tendency towards a disintegration of the old family pattern, where the woman was the center of the home. Women of spiritual understanding could take the lead here and help their sisters to realize the vital importance of the mother influence, the importance of a secure and loving home life for the young souls coming into incarnation. Many souls now being born are real children of the Aquarian age, highly sensitive and responsive to the spirit of the new age. Since Aquarius is a positive air sign, which brings stimulation to the mind, those who are working on the lunar ray at this period have a vital part to play in helping humanity to hold the balance. The true work of souls evolving along this lunar ray, which is in essence the second ray, is to bring to life the quality of the divine parent. I'm going to insert my opinion here. I have only recently begun to, through the help of the Ho'oponopono prayer and growth, and to parent myself in new ways. And I have found the Ho'oponopono prayer very powerful and effective in doing this. It has given me perspective that I didn't previously feel. Things I could read or know in my head are completely different than feeling it. And that has really made all the difference. I wonder if you're finding that true. The true work of souls evolving along this lunar ray, which is in essence the second ray, is to bring to life the quality of the divine parent. We say parent because it matters not whether a soul is functioning in a male or female body during any one incarnation. If they are evolving along this lunar ray, no matter whether they are man or woman, they will feel deep within them a great love of life itself. They will feel the urge to care for and nurture all living things, but especially the young and helpless in body or soul. The work of the mother in the home is to make wise provision for the nourishment, comfort, and well-being of her family. She therefore needs much prudence and foresight. She needs to learn the art of good management. In the wider sense, people on the lunar ray are often drawn to serve humanity in the management of local affairs or in politics. As the mother must be the queen of her household, so all who work on the lunar ray feel the urge to exert power and authority through the management of affairs. Can you say Kamala? When the moon, through the sign of Cancer, is predominant, but Mars and Saturn are also powerful, there will be a blending of the first ray of power or will in action with the second ray of caring and teaching. This often produces a politician with strong views on social reform. Yet she or he will be a rather different figure from the solar ray people, who are the pioneers, the creators, the inspirers. Lunar ray subjects carry out the orders and give form to the creative ideas of solar types. They are like trained actors or musicians who reflect and interpret the thought of the dramatist or composer for the enjoyment of others. Without their service, life would be deprived of so much beauty. We remember here the exaltation of the moon in Taurus, the fixed earth sign, which is ruled by Venus, planet of harmony and beauty. People on the lunar ray are also social workers, those concerned with the feeding, housing, and care of others, those who work with the young or with animals or plants, those who love to create beauty in homes and gardens, and who are concerned with wise care of the soil and land, all who work with nature or with people for the purpose of creating harmony and beauty. Because of the ceaseless activity and change which the moon represents, these people will often become very caught up in practical concerns. Being so receptive to the psychic conditions around them, they will also become easily entangled with the emotional life and the thoughts and feelings of the community in which they live. They reflect the thoughts and feelings of their close companions to a marked degree. They're peculiarly in touch with the feelings of the public and are quickly aware of its fluctuations of mood. Hence, many of them have a flair for public life and become well-known figures, or their promoters for these people have good business sense too. But unless they can learn how to protect themselves and to govern their emotional or astral body, they can become pulled to pieces with conflict and emotional turmoil and with the cares of everyday life. Family relationships often affect these people deeply, and their karma will often cause them to shoulder much family responsibility, perhaps for many years caring for an elderly parent or an invalid relative. Because of their deep devotion to the whole family as well as to the particular person, they know within their hearts that contrary to all advice, they personally must care for this relative and not just put him in a home. This sense of responsibility, first to the immediate family, and later, as the soul develops, to the wider family, is an essential characteristic of those who work on this lunar ray. They long to be needed, and they are never happier than when spending themselves in service to others. In this service, they can, however, become utterly exhausted, and so they need to learn the secret of restoring the soul. This too is clearly shown in the symbolism of the sign of Cancer and the fourth house, the sign of retirement and refreshment. These people need to withdraw from outer life at regular intervals and build for themselves a sanctuary, both on the outer and inner planes. Everyone needs a place of quiet and privacy where they can withdraw to pray and meditate. But for those working on the lunar ray, this need is especially felt, for they become so caught up and involved in the soul life of others that they have to exert a great effort of will to withdraw and find themselves. Just as the moon, while changeable, is still constant in her rhythm, so these people have a great tenacity of purpose, which they must use in learning to control their thoughts. They have to use their creative soul power to build a place of absolute peace, a beautiful walled garden to which they can withdraw. Perhaps the most beautiful symbol of this lunar ray is the still pool, or lake of peace, in the heavenly garden, where the soul can sit in silent contemplation of the light of heaven reflected in the waters. On the water, the lotus buds are beginning to open. As the lotus cup unfolds, it reveals its golden heart. The soul seems to become a part of this lovely flower and breathes in the divine breath from the golden heart of the lotus. The color violet or amethyst is the one usually associated with the moon, but in meditating on this ray, it is as well not to be too tied up by earthly color concepts. The ray of the Great Mother has a basic quality of amethyst, but is more like a radiant pearl. Think of the quality of light on a very wide sea, perhaps under the moonlight, or under a sun which is gently cloud-veiled so that the sea looks like a pearl, still but full of moving light. Think of the quality of strength, the creativeness of the great ocean of life. Think of the great ocean of human love, human thought, the soul life of the planet, which this sea symbolizes. And then think of the Master walking on that water, bringing divine peace to all who are disturbed and distraught in mind and body. This is the true healing ray, the ray which builds and restores life, which brings the release of death, and which again gathers up the life atoms to create new young bodies. This is the life which makes all things new. The guide of souls working on this lunar ray will often manifest in the form of a beautiful woman, subtle and beautiful as the colors of the sky and the landscape reflected in still or gently moving water. The quality with this guide brings will always be a radiant stillness, a feeling of utter peace, not a weak lackadaisical peace, but with hidden strength beneath the stillness, a dynamic power which upholds and restores. To those who create the necessary conditions, their guide will draw close and will help them to rise to a plane of heavenly wisdom beyond all care and conflict, to become aware of the divine plan which they, as servers of the Great Mother, can help to fulfill. I found that very, very peaceful and helpful to me. I hope that you did as well. And it seems very fitting that as I finish this, the sun is beginning to set. It's falling lower and lower in the west part of the sky. So I think I'll close with that. I'll close by moving the camera so that you can see it too. And I will thank you for stopping by for this entertainment-only reading. And I look forward to reading your comments. Bye for now.